you got me interviewing you.
Nobody told me this.
Be afraid.
I would not have agreed. I would not have agreed. I would not have agreed to this. I'm just joking. Hi, everybody. Who was here last year? Like 4 people? 5 people? Who was disappointed that we weren't here last year? Okay, thank you. That's really what I was driving at.
You've still been here more than anybody else, though, haven't you?
This is correct, yes. And I'm coming back next year, so.
All right, then.
I haven't been invited, but I'm coming back.
Interestingly, you're capable of sharing a platform with, I don't know, Donnie McClurkin and guys like Fred Hammond and guys like that, but also with Matt Redman and Tim Hughes and people like that. Do you realise how special that is to be able to work across all kinds of different audiences and cultures?
I think I do now. You know, at the time that we got started, New Breed is celebrating 15 years this year together, so we just felt like we were waving a flag that not a lot of other people were waving at that time, and that was like, why be relegated to a box? Why categorize something when it's the kingdom of God? Like, the kingdom of God is made up of all tribes and tongues and styles and sounds, and so being raised at half black, half white, you know, a black kid in a white family in a Hispanic community, that was my upbringing. I used to consider myself like an outsider, like just I didn't fit anywhere. And now I realize that all of that was not working against me. It was working for me. But I didn't realize that until I sit here with you and you remind me, like, hey, you hang out with black folk and white folk and Hispanic folk. And I think that one of the things we take the most pride in, if I could use that word, is just quality relationships that we've developed over the years that are not I'm not locked into anybody's one sound or one thing, and that's very, very important to me. So yes, it is special. It was a very long answer to yes, it is special.
Let me introduce you to Israel's week. Okay, this week. Well, yesterday you were in Amsterdam. I don't know whether you know this, but yesterday you were in Amsterdam. Today you're here. Tomorrow you're in London. Then you're in LA.
No. We go to Helsinki, actually. We're in Finland on Tuesday. Okay.
Well, your website's wrong then. Then there's Barbados.
Yeah, we go to Barbados.
And then Chicago.
Saturday, Chicago Sunday.
Yeah. So that's quite a routine. We need to explain cricket to you before you get to Barbados.
Yeah, I mean, I watch cricket.
Yeah.
I don't understand it at all.
Yeah. Well, you're going to play in the Sir Gary Sobers Stadium in Barbados. He was a very famous cricketer.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, that's where we'll be Saturday.
Yeah.
A week from today.
So tell me about...
So as many of you can get to Barbados, we'll see you there.
But the thing about all that is that's a very hectic schedule for you as a person. And I wonder about how that impacts on your family life. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, it always has been one of those things that we've been in a constant state of negotiation as a family, and negotiation in a very positive way. What works, what doesn't, and what doesn't is not going to happen because our family has always come first, and ordinarily I've got some members of my family with me on the road every time we go out, and that's important to me. So, I've seen a lot of people preach and sing their way out of their family, and that's just not an option for me. And I don't know if I'll keep getting invited back to this festival, but I know I'll still be Mariah's dad, and I know I'll still be a husband and a father, so that's got to be where the emphasis is placed. And that's how we adjust as we go.
So have you got Melissa with you in this trip?
Not on this trip, no. And this is a quick turnaround. Her sister is here, though. There's Ruby right there. That's my wife's sister. You could give her a better hand than that. Come on.
So tell me about the new album. The new album is called Covered.
Covered, Alive in Asia.
Yes. So tell me about recording in Asia. What was that like?
It was just about as crazy as this week we're having right now. We did 6 different cities and countries in about 9 days, 9 or 10 days. And we recorded a live record and a live DVD and a concert film and all this behind the scenes stuff. And I'm super, super excited about this project. It's definitely the largest scale project we've ever done. And but I'm really pleased with the songs. We're going to do 2 or 3 of the new songs tonight, if that's all right. Only if you guys sing along real loud. If you don't, we'll just stop halfway through and play something, But yeah, we're excited. We did last night in Rotterdam. We did like 3 of the new songs, and that's always a bit daunting to go, hey, we'd like to try something new for you, and people go, woo, you're like, oh, this is gonna be rough. But it actually really connected, and we had a good time last night.
What about themes for the album then? What kind of things are you carrying at the moment that you want to communicate?
This one thematically was kind of all over the map, whereas in records past, I'll kind of jump on a theme and do every song kind of around that. This one was just more about, let's just do great songs that glorify God, and it is, again, what you'd come to expect from an Israel and New Breed record. It's very broad in its approach. There's something for everybody on there, and yeah, I feel good about it. I feel really good about it, actually.
So what about more solo records from you? Because you've done New Breed records. You did a couple of solo records. Are you going to return to that?
Yeah, I am kind of in the beginning stages of something like that. Maybe going back in the studio with Tommy and doing something different. So not quite sure yet, but I don't know. I love, it feels like everything I'm writing right now is very much about songs for the church and songs that just lift people. Most of the correspondence we get from people that really challenges us to write the way we write is when somebody's writing to you in tears and saying, you have put words to what I was feeling, and it's hard to do, And so when you realize that you're a part of the soundtrack of people's day, and you help get them out of bed in the morning by what they've said on their phone or whatever to wake up to. I mean, that's a tremendous honor, but it's a tremendous responsibility. And so to write songs that kind of, give way to other people is I love doing that. And the best indicator is if it ministers to me when writing it or working it out, then there's a good chance that it's going to touch somebody else.
Why Asia to record the album?
We've been going to Singapore and Indonesia and the Philippines and Seoul, Korea, and Tokyo for about the last 7 or 8 years. And what we found was, especially on the gospel side of things, like none of our colleagues were going there. And so every year we would go, we would just build a bigger, connection with people, a bigger following and fan base. And so I think the last time we had done something in Indonesia, it was like tens of thousands of people. And we're like, man, we should do a record here or something. Because literally, if you do what we do, often when people lean in and just go, we actually don't care what you sing, we just want the presence of God. You pay attention to that, you go, man, this would be a great place to come back and do something epic. And so that's really, as we looked across, we thought, we considered doing something in London again. We considered doing something in Europe. We certainly considered doing something in Africa again. But we just thought Asia, that's different, And I think you have to pay attention to the fact that it really is Asia's time right now. Everywhere you look, everywhere in the news, you see something is happening in Asia. And there's a revival just percolating under all that. And to go to Indonesia in particular, where it's the highest Muslim population in the world, but there are Christian churches in Jakarta that have 350,000 people. And a lot of them are converted Muslims, And you look at that and you just go, man, God is doing something significant here. So we just wanted to share in it and get involved.
Because you travel around the world and you lead worship in different countries and cultures. So do certain cultures have certain characteristics in the way that they worship, or does everybody do it in the same way?
No. Every place is different, for sure. And there have been places we've gone that we did not expect what happened. And conversely, you go some places and go, it's going to be amazing tonight, and they're just like, whatever, And then you go other places where maybe you've got a lower expectation, or you're like, we're going to have to work hard tonight or whatever. And like I remember last year, we ended up in places like Guyana and Suriname, like we had never been there before, and it was crazy. Like last year, we went to Latvia, never been, and we just thought, man, this is going to be like, I don't know what we thought from a stereotype, like it's going to be stoic and chill, and those people were unglued, man. And so you just kind of never know what's going to happen. But I'm always fascinated about what songs resonate where and how people respond, in songs like that.
Because us British, we're very quiet and reserved, aren't we, when you lead worship here?
They can be. Only the white ones. The black ones. The Islanders, man, are my friends. No, I mean, listen, we've been coming to London for a long time, since probably 03 or 04. And, man, we have just received nothing but love here. And so we always look forward to coming to the UK.
The interesting thing with all of that kind of stuff, though, is that when you go to places where you've never been before, the songs have been ahead of you.
Correct.
So tell me how that works. How does that feel when you get somewhere and everybody knows the words?
I mean, that's an honor, and that's one of the reasons why we've considered it a great honor to write songs for the church. When churches go, that song, what that's saying, how that goes, resonates with our house. And so when you get there and you jump into a Jesus at the center of it all or something, and people lean in, you just go, man, that's... you want to send a text message to your distributor going, hey, thank you. Thank you for getting these CDs over here and, in the furthest reaches of the earth. And so I don't take any of that for granted, because I know people who are writing great, great songs that you may never hear, just because of the mechanism, just because of the way the business is structured right now, that are writing way better songs than I've ever imagined writing. So it is hard work, to get out there and do it. But I am convinced that if you'll honor God's house, and I could look at my whole 25 years of ministry this year and see where I just was willing to stay planted in the house of God. 15 years at Lakewood this year. And to see God go, I can use somebody like that, somebody I can trust, somebody who doesn't get the notion in their head that they're bigger than the church. And a lot of artists succumb to that sometimes, like, well, this church is too small for me, I got bigger things to do for God, and you kind of get out from that. And granted, we've all gone through changes and transitions, but every time I've honored God's house, and especially when it's been a sacrifice, especially when I've had to say no to great opportunities because I've committed to do something at home, God has always made a significant difference in that.
So if we see you, does that mean that we are just experiencing Lakewood worship in front of us? You've exported that to us.
Well, I think to a large degree, I'm an ambassador of Lakewood, sure. But Lakewood also has a personality and a thrust of its own, and it's very much a ministry to unchurched people. I mean, one of my favorite things to do on the weekends that I lead at Lakewood is after sound check, I'll just go out through the audience and just talk to people. And inevitably, I'll talk to somebody and go, hey, what's your story? And the stories, man, that you'll hear from people are shocking. Because I think as a worship leader, and if there are any worship leaders here, this will help you get to know the people you're leading in worship. It's actually very, very important, because on those days where you're like, man, these people are crazy and nobody's lifting their hands and I just feel like I'm wasting my time, God will help you to remember that it's a miracle that people are even sitting there. And that they've come and that you have something to give to them, something to offer them that will give them, fuel for the rest of the week. And I just absolutely have seen my perspective change as a worship leader, the more I get to meet people. I mean, I met one couple a few weeks ago who said, "Yeah, well, we were divorced. We were divorced for a couple years, and we started watching separately. Started watching the show, and we decided we were going to come to church. And they came separately, never told each other they were coming. Ended up sitting very close to each other, and in that service, like they both gave their lives to the Lord, and God put their marriage back together. And you hear that kind of stuff, and you just go, these are people I get the privilege of leading in worship, and I don't know, man, it's a powerful thing. So there is that. Lakewood has its own thing. New Breed is its own animal, musically speaking and ministry wise. So I do get to kind of straddle two different worlds between Lakewood and New Breed.
Cool. Listen, we're out of time. Israel Houghton, thank you very much. Give him a round
Thank
of
you,
applause.
guys. Appreciate it.